So as you can tell, we are live from the Lebanon Police Department today. In all the other classes, what we've been doing is sort of highlighting a different part of the police department, a different sort of specialty job. And once we get done with all of them, I'll post all the videos from all the different classes on our YouTube channel for the class and give you the links to them so that you can check out some of the other people. We had the public information officer, y'all may know Sergeant Hardy from some of our other class stuff. We had him on this morning, and one of the patrol officers was in here. We've got some other people coming on Thursday, so I'll post all those videos, and that way if you're interested in a different part of the police department, you can check out those at your leisure. But today we have CID, the Criminal Investigative Division, and we have Detective Sandefur, who is not just a Lebanon police officer, but also once a Blue Devil, always a Blue Devil, one of our alum. So what I'm going to do is here in just a minute, I'm going to turn it over to him, and he has literally cleaned out his car to, I think that was on ulterior motive. He had to clean out his car and bring a ton of stuff to show and tell. He wears a bunch of different hats, so I'll let him walk through what those are and what his job looks like. But questions are good. So if you've got questions, anything you want to know, definitely take the opportunity to ask him. We couldn't take a field trip to the police department, so we brought the police department to you. So feel free to ask questions as we go, and then at the end we'll do our attendance stuff, and I'll give you a few little information bits about registration. So I will turn it over to you, and we'll go from there.
So like Coach Lakeman said, my name is Justin Sandefur. I'm class of 2012, so I was the last class to go to the old building, so y'all are definitely lucky to be in that facility. I graduated from Middle Tennessee back in 2019 with a bachelor's in criminal justice administration. I'm currently getting my master's from a school in Connecticut in digital forensics. Like he said, I wear a lot of different hats. I've been at the police department since 2014. In that time, I've served on patrol as a field training officer, and then my current role as a detective. Being a mid-sized agency, we don't have a lot of full-time things like Metro Nashville or NYPD, LAPD has, which has worked out well for me because it gives me a chance to be on SWAT, doing crime scene, doing all the less lethal stuff, being able to teach and kind of develop our guys and different things like that. Been to a bunch of different schools. I've been certified as a gang investigator. Did a week-long class put on by UT Knoxville and the National Forensics Academy to kind of process crime scene searching, fingerprints, serology, DNA, things like that. I know Coach Lakeman has worked with that a little bit on that. I'm also the night shift detective here, so predominantly what I work is a lot of your violent crime, your burglaries, robberies, rapes, a lot of overdoses that we get. I'm lucky enough to work a lot of those, so I'm kind of broad in what they allow me to do working at night, typically by myself. So I think that's kind of a brief rundown of what I do. Like Coach Lakeman said, I've got a bunch of equipment that I use pretty much day to day or every other day. I've got a less lethal shotgun that I use for SWAT. I'm also an instructor for that, and the gas and different tools that we have available. Camera, any crime scene we go out to.
In case they don't know, how is a shotgun less lethal? Shotgun sounds kind of lethal, so they may not know what makes it less lethal.
So this, we don't have any actual shotguns that we use right now. This one is clearly marked with yellow. That way we know not to put any live buckshot or slug rounds in it. And so what it is essentially, I'll bring it up to the camera so you can all kind of see it. So a typical shotgun cartridge is going to have a rubber casing. You're going to have your wad, your powder, and then whatever shot you've got. So that could be lead, a slug, bird shot, whatever the case may be. This one still functions the same way. You still have a primer strike on the back, and then it's also loaded with basically a beanbag round. So they can penetrate the skin. There are certain rules that we have as far as a standoff distance and things like that to kind of protect the people with any of our less lethal weapons, there's also limitations on where we can aim. You got red zone areas like the head, the neck, spine that we obviously don't want to aim at for someone. For something like this, someone that's kind of holding a knife, standing off, any situation like that where they can be a dangerous one, but we don't want to escalate it to a lethal force situation. We use something like this as sort of a pain compliance where we're aiming for a large muscle area. It's going to incapacitate them. Predominantly with this one, what we're going to aim for is the thigh as sort of a compliance tool. And so that's definitely a great tool. We don't get to use it a whole lot, especially since we've got things like the taser that I'm sure all of you are familiar with or have seen videos on. All of our patrol guys have that. This is more for sort of our dynamic situations or unique situations. Our department's really lucky enough to kind of diversify and giving us anything that we need to kind of accomplish a goal.
While he's switching gears here, one of the things you're going to hear in the background is because we're right here in one of the police department bays, you're going to hear the dispatch radio going off in the background. So that's what all the communication noise is.
And like you said, I've been in CID since 2000. I believe the beginning of 2019. In that time, I've had the opportunity to work everything from a simple shoplifting, several robberies. Tennessee recently updated their case law where if I provide you narcotics and you overdose and die, we can actually work investigations where I can be charged with second-degree homicide. And so I've had the opportunity to work several of those. Like I said, I've been to the Reed School for interview and interrogation. I know a lot of y'all have had some discussions on that. I've been able to pull fingerprints off a door handle for a homicide. So it's definitely a good opportunity to get a lot of experience and kind of help the citizens of Lebanon. So
we were talking before class started a little bit about fingerprinting. How many of you are, after using both different types, the volcanic and the magnetic, how many of you are more in favor of the magnetic powder? You like it better than the volcanic? Couple of them? Okay. What was your opinion on which one you like better?
Me personally, I feel like I've got better control using the volcanic. It doesn't lay on quite as thick when you're using magnetic. You can kind of almost dilute the print. Especially when I'm working with things like glass or sort of awkward situations like I said earlier, like the inside of a door handle. If someone's trying to break into a car, in that case, it was actually a homicide that we were working. I feel like don't dilute it as much. You can get a little bit more detail. And then obviously the light versus dark all kind of depends on what kind of material you're working with. But me personally, I like the volcanic. I've gotten better results in my experience with it.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions on the investigative side of it? Some of the crime scene processing stuff that he does? Yeah, Caden, what you got?
How often do you work with like other people as like multiple people working on the same case as kind of like a partnership?
So, like I said, I work 3 to 11 Sunday through Thursday. With that, like I said, I try to get out on any deceased person that we have. Here lately, the trend is it's either going to be natural or overdose related. And so with that, like I said, I'm getting my master's in digital forensics. I'm also certified to download a lot of these cell phones that we get. So any death investigation where we believe it's going to be an overdose homicide, that cell phone is a huge piece of evidence, and so I'm kind of in charge of downloading that, pulling all the data, pulling metadata if they've been sent photos, pulling the SMS, the MMS messages, call all the time. So whether it's my case, our narcotics guy's case, like I said, I try to keep my hand in everything and stay pretty busy. Teamwork's definitely a big thing here. So we all have our different hats and specialties, and like anything else, it takes a team to accomplish a goal, especially when you start working some of these major scenes. Like I said, for our last couple, like violent homicides, I think we've probably had 5 or 6 crime scene techs working the scenes with myself or another detective will kind of be over the actual crime scene operation itself. And you have to delegate as far as who's going to do the sketching, who's photographing, who's collecting, who's going to process this, who's going to process that. And make sure everybody's doing a good narrative. Because if not, you can be out there for, I've had crime scenes where I'm there for 15, 16, 17 hours, and it can be an all-day thing. So teamwork's definitely a big thing. And then also, if I'm not working any cases, working at night, I like to get out in an unmarked car and kind of, especially areas that have been burglarized or high crime areas, I like to get out in those and kind of be seen and help, like I said, help our drug guys, help our flex guys doing sort of their gang investigations and things like that. So teamwork's a huge part of what we do.
Good. So he talked about one of the hats that he wears. The other one is a little bit more physical. The crime scene investigation part, definitely more mental. The other job that he does, a little bit more in your face, I guess would be a good way to put that. So what's your other job?
So like I said, we're not Metro Nashville. We don't have a full-time SWAT team or anything. So in addition to the crime scene, the digital stuff, all the investigation in, I also am on the SWAT team. So with that, I do a lot of our gas, less lethal. I'm a certified instructor on that. Also run the shield if we do that, or just a regular part of the entry team. And so what I've got back here is some of my vest and helmet that we use for any operation that we go on. So this is going to be just a regular Kevlar helmet, nothing too special about it. This is our vest that we wear. Anyone making entry on the SWAT team is going to use this thing. And I hope back enough where y'all can kind of see that. So I've got obviously my radio pouch, different AR pouches, pistol, because depending on where you are in the stack and what the operation calls for, it's good to have both depending on which weapon you're running. Obviously, ear protection is a big thing. I'm a big fan of these because they cancel out a lot of your high decibel things like a gunshot or a flashbang that we may use. But when I turn it on, it's battery operated. I can hear you talking just like it's a conversation, or if we're at the range, you can talk, give instruction, and still protect your ears. And so from there, obviously, I'll carry 1 or 2 sets of cuffs. In addition, if we get into a house that's got 10, 12, 15 people, I always like to have zip ties as a backup, at least while we're clearing the house. And then once it's been cleared, we can transition them into some metal cuffs so it's a little more comfortable. But for a quick fix, I like to use that. In addition to that, we've got a medical kit that everyone carries on them. I like to keep it on my side, and I can get it from both hands. People are different as far as a personal preference on what they like. So in here, just some of the different things that I've carried and used or found to be beneficial is always trauma shears. If I'm cutting through clothing, if someone gets cut, trauma shears, electrical tape is always a big thing for us. A tourniquet, all of our officers are trained on how to use these. Really good for a quick fix. You can leave it on for an extended amount of time, especially in an urban setting, and you're not really going to have any difficulty once you go to the hospital. Like I said, everyone on the team carries one, and then I believe most people on the road carry one on their person now that we've kind of been trained and informed on the benefits of it. So most people do. They kind of may hide them in their vest or wear them on the opposite leg or their backup gun on their ankle or something like that. But it's always definitely a tool that probably 90% of us carry day to day.
If you don't pay attention to Facebook too close, one of the things that the SROs in the county just recently got is a bag very similar to the one he's showing you. There's one in every single classroom at LHS now that has a lot of the same stuff that he's carrying with him on his SWAT gear. So they've got that in the classroom now.
Yeah, I will see that. I think the SROs kind of led that and spirited that. McPeak and Burton
Yeah, they had to go out and get donations. And
yeah, so it's definitely something that hopefully you never have to use, but if you do have it, it's potential save several lives having that many in stock in a school. And then from there, we've got something that helps with the airway, different bandages in here. Most of us carry an Israeli bandage now. Basically, it's a long bandage with kind of like a wishbone where we can wrap it through and tighten down. And basically, it gets as tight as a tourniquet. We use that for head injuries where it can be awkward to bandage up or stop the bleeding. Like I said, all of our patrol guys, SWAT guys, doesn't matter. Part of our in-service training every year is first aid and care. So along with the basic CPR and things like that, we also do what's called TCCC. It's a Tactical Combat Casualty Care. I think is what it stands for. So we've got some good instructors here that definitely give us good instructions so we can take care of not only ourselves if we need to self-aid, but also one of our fellow officers, or if we get out and do encounter a shooting victim or someone in a wreck, we've got tools available to kind of be there, because a lot of times we may get there before fire EMS, just because, especially on patrol, and our guys are mobile, they may be closer to a scene than someone coming from a station. So they've done a good job of outfitting us to kind of be prepared for just about anything in an immediate response to something.
I don't know if you're keeping score or not, but if you're keeping track of skills that he needs to do his job on a daily basis, he has to have legal skills to be able to navigate sort of the laws and the criminal justice system. He has forensic and crime scene skills to be able to do his job with CID, people skills, but then also medical skills that go along with his SWAT job. The benefit to doing a bunch of different jobs means that you get trained in a bunch of different skills. So he brings a lot more to the table than just what you have as your traditional police officer mindset.
And that's just kind of piggyback on that. One thing I would encourage anyone who's wanting to get into this, I know I remember being in high school, it kind of got mundane being in the same building, but kind of like you said, the Constitution's a living document. What we do is a constantly evolving process. And so with that, you really have to have a hunger to kind of stay on top of your game, because you're either moving ahead or you're falling behind. And so a lot of people kind of find a niche and really enjoy that. So if you know you want to do forensics, or if you want to do CID, patrol, traffic, whatever the case may be, I would encourage you to really continue your education. It's been a huge benefit for me. It's one thing to kind of walk the walk, and another thing to talk the talk and really know why we do what we do. Because once you kind of understand the why, as far as the ins and outs, the kind of the intricacies of what we do, it makes your job a whole lot easier. And you can definitely gives you the opportunity to help a lot more people. Like I said, education is a big thing. It's been a big benefit to me, and it's definitely helped me further my career. So anyone looking to get into this, if you can get in early, I would, and also continue to further education. It's been a huge benefit to me, and I'm very thankful for the opportunities I've gotten. And so along with that, this is kind of what I call a battle belt. This is what I wear for any SWAT operation. So on top of that big vest, I'll take my regular belt off, and so in here I've got more pistol mags as needed. Like I said, all of our SWAT guys and even some of our crime scene guys now, depending on the situation, have got a gas mask that we carry. I'll take it out and show it to you. And so we've got different kinds. I'm also certified to do meth lab response. And so with those, we're going to be running an air pack. This one is just like a particle. So it's running a canister, and we always keep our film over that, because if this thing gets scratched, I'm useless because I can't see out of it. But all of our SWAT team operators and most of our crime scene guys have got this thing now, just in case we need it. And then in addition to that, I've got just kind of a dump pouch for water or anything that I need. I know with this one, I kind of keep my headlamp. That way, if we do something at night, I wear it around my neck. So if somebody goes down or if I need to find something on the ground, I can just kind of click it on and be able to see down without illuminating everything. Again, got another AR mag back here, and then another tourniquet, like I said. So I keep one on my left side, my right side. So one for me, one for my buddies, kind of my thinking on it. I'd rather have, I guess the old saying is 2 is 1, 1 is none, with flashlights or pins or anything else. Because if it can fail, it will at some point. So it's always, in my opinion, good to have a backup. And then also with this, I have another duty weapon that I use, and I keep it in this belt. That way, if I get caught out with something, I can throw one belt off, throw this thing on, and I'm ready to go. I'm not trading out equipment or anything.
Or forgetting to trade out equipment.
Yeah. Be a bad day if I ran out without, like I said, another set of cuffs or forgot my pistol.
Does anybody have questions? Anything that's been burning a hole in your mind and you're dying to know? What about the ever famous what if or this happened to my friend questions? Nothing? You know everything that you could possibly want to know. No, you have him live in person to answer any question you have.
What's the coolest thing you've done so far?
I've done a lot. That's a broad question.
He's struggling because your definition of cool and his definition of cool are very different.
I think one of the neatest things I've done, I guess, is so I've worked a shooting back when I was on the road. I was just a crime scene tech. I worked a shooting probably in September or October, where we'd had a shooting in Lebanon, didn't have the victim. That gentleman had actually been picked up and transported to the Gallatin hospital. Well, Gallatin had called us and said that they had the vehicle that dropped him off stopped. And so myself and a detective went up there. And so after speaking with the gentleman that was shot, he really didn't want to give us a lot of information. I had taken some photographs of the car, but one habit that I always made that was super beneficial in this case and several others was that I always take a picture of the people, what they're wearing, like surrounding areas. Like if I go do a search warrant on a house, I take pictures of everyone kind of watching outside because inevitably the perpetrator or someone may come back to the scene. We see that's kind of a common trend. And so I always kind of make a habit of snapping photos around who's watching before. But in this case, the primary thing we were there for was the car and the blood that was in there. But these guys, we'd kind of been dealing with off and on, nothing too major at the time. But for whatever reason, I had all of them line up and just kind of get a quick photo of their clothing, kind of joking around with them, making light of it. And so we fast forward 2 or 3 months down the road, we had several gas station robberies that had occurred. And from there, I'd seen some of the clothing that was kind of similar, and it kind of bothered me. So I was like, I know these guys. I don't know where I know them from. And so I went back and pulled my photo from like 4 or 5 or 2 or 3 months prior to that. And actually, they were wearing the same clothing from when they were transporting this gentleman as a shooting victim. And so that photograph I took 4 or 5 months, along with a little more background and follow up and get some other evidence, was a key piece in identifying, like I said, it was 4 or 5 gas station robberies that we worked in like a 2-week span. So it was really an issue as far as public safety and security to our businesses here. And so just kind of being detail oriented and having a process to everything was definitely beneficial in that case and kind of gave us a lead for our detectives to kind of run down and finish out and close out the case. So that's one thing that was pretty cool for me. Like Coach Lakeman said, cool kind of, the definition varies. I've worked a lot of deceased person investigations and things like child porn and so on and so forth. And so one big thing for me and what kind of drives me, especially being from this community, my grandparents are here, my mom's from here, as a business owner, being able to serve the citizens of Lebanon. I take a little bit more pride when I get cases and kind of bringing them sense of security, because most people, when they feel victimized, they make a lot of irrational decisions. Like if your house gets broken into, they think like it is on TV where someone stalked their house for 3 months and this, that, and the other, and they get that sense of paranoia, and really bringing a case to closure and locating that offender, getting them in the court system and getting them tried. Giving the victim is a big thing for us here. And it, like I said, Lebanon's grown a ton even since I was in school, but it's still kind of got that small town feel. And I see my victims walking through Walmart or Kroger or going out shopping at the mall. So it's definitely something that's really important to me, and I take a lot of pride in it.
Mm-hmm. Caden, did you have a question?
So like in the case where you were taking those pictures of the people, were you like required to tell them that they weren't required to take the picture, or what? Like, what's the like legality behind doing that?
So on that, one of the big things that we do, as far as when I talk to people, I try to be as personable as I can. And so if you kind of come in stoic and I'm Officer so-and-so, I'm here to take your picture, you really don't get a good response from that. Same thing when you're interviewing your offenders. And so I try to be as personal as I can. And so for them, I think I told them they could strike a pose for me. I just told them, hey, you're part of the scene. If you don't mind, I'm going to take a photograph of it, just kind of document that you're with the vehicle. And they kind of cut up with me a little bit. And so I was kind of giving it back to them. And so, like I said, the people skills are huge in our line of work. So you got to be fluid and be able to kind of be a chameleon and kind of blend in with everybody. It definitely makes my job a lot easier when I can have a conversation with someone instead of coming in. And it's not like you see in the TV shows where I'm coming in, turning the lamp in someone's face and kind of slamming the desk and saying, you're going to tell me where you are on this day. That's not how we operate. We don't get good results that way. In my experience, being personable with anyone, you get better results. What's the old saying? You get more flies with honey than vinegar or water. So people skills are a huge thing in our line of work.
All right. What else you got? Yeah, I think he's given you a pretty broad picture of all the different possibilities, at least in his world. So if you don't have any more questions, we may cut him loose, because believe it or not, he is not at work. He did this completely free of charge on his own time. This is his off time to come in and speak with you. One, because he's a blue devil, so he takes every opportunity to work with us and jump back in. He's done some of our practices and trainings and things like that with our students before, so we appreciate that for sure. If you don't have anything else, we're going to cut him loose and let him get back to his free time before he comes to work.